What's up, guys? This is Mayan with Mayan in the Morning. I am the owner of Mayan Gordon Media, and here today I am coming to talk to you guys about personal branding. I'm also trying out something new with this live stream. I've got a little bit of background music playing, so if you're watching, if you could let me know, can you hear the background music? That's number one. Number two, comment, you guys, where in the world are you watching from? We get people from all over the globe, and it's always really cool to see where people are watching from, so I appreciate if you leave a comment. I'm going to pull up the live stream on my LinkedIn right now so I can see any comments coming in through LinkedIn. If you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, I can see your comments actually directly on my laptop screen. So send them in. I appreciate you guys. And of course, bring all of your personal branding questions today. All right, we got some people watching. Awesome. Jonathan, what's good? How's it going? Jitendra, we got Ayush and Latasha again. Latasha is our superstar fan right now. Thank you so much. We got Virginia from New York City, Kathax, and Mohammed from Turkey. That's amazing. You know, Turkey is a place that I actually, obviously, I've never been, one. Two, I don't meet a lot of people from Turkey, so I'm definitely interested to find out more about, like, what's the economy like over in Turkey. I'm always highly fascinated with global economies and the economies of, you know, other countries, because business tends to work quite differently in different places. We got Fatih, what's good? I'm doing great today. Thank you for asking. Shubham, hello. And Ari4, what is good? You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for commenting where you're watching from. Okay, so today we're going to talk about personal branding. First of all, and I've got actually, you guys, I've got a nice presentation here for you. I'll do a screen share in a minute. But first, what is personal branding? Maybe you've been hearing a lot about it and just don't really know what it means. Personal branding can be equated to you. It's just simply who you are. Who are you? That is your personal brand. It is your personal stamp on the world. It is your stamp on existence. It is you, your essence, your core. Who are you? So how do you communicate this through digital space? That's what people are talking about when they're talking about personal branding, right? Is how do I portray my personal brand? How do I communicate what my personal brand is? In essence, how do I communicate who I am and what I stand for through digital space? What a great question, right? Like, what an awesome thing for us to think about and contemplate. We created this incredible thing called the internet, which, like, we all know what it is, but don't really understand how it works for the most part, I think, right? It's invisible. We're communicating through it right now. I know how to use it, but do I understand why all of this is functioning? Not really. I don't even, to be honest, I don't even really know what a server is or understand servers or modems or things like that. So if you're techie, first of all, huge props to you for understanding that complexity. But if you don't, that's okay. Who you are and how to communicate it through digital space is something that takes time to learn and a unique perspective to really truly understand. Because one, you have to understand yourself very well, right? You have to be very self-aware and know who you are on the inside. Secondly, you have to be aware of digital space and how different things are perceived within it. Meaning, if you just plop yourself into digital space without the context of how people are perceiving things, then you're very likely to be misperceived or have people make judgments about you that are not the judgments that you want them to make. Now, you'll never be able to stop people from making judgments, but you can get them to make judgments in your favor, to make positive judgments about you. And that's a large part of what personal branding does, right? Is when you come in contact with human beings through the internet, through their email, through whatever space possible, we're always going to make some amount of judgment, because that's how our brain keeps us alive, is by making judgments about the things we see and the things we interact with in our life. So you want people to make good judgments about you, because that's going to make your life so much better. And how do you achieve that? Well, it really goes down to understanding how people's brains work and how our emotions work. And understanding those things can give you a huge edge in the business world. I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to check out any comments. I appreciate you guys so much. Again, as always, if you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, you want to say hi to the other audience members who are watching right now, please go for it. What's up? Good morning, Jeremy. Jeremy is another superstar here with my live show. I really appreciate you. Oh, awesome. I love this. Chris commented one thing that he's grateful for. As you guys can see, I got a scrolling ticker down here. I really want people to comment and start talking about more the things they're grateful, because literally just writing it down or saying it out loud creates a mindset shift within you that makes you more grateful for the entire rest of the day. So leave a comment right now. What's one thing that you're grateful for? And I'll share one thing that I'm grateful for real quick. One thing that I'm incredibly grateful for is my amazing husband, who supports me in all of my business endeavors and ambitions, and also really supports me in a day-to-day aspect, from getting me my morning coffee to taking care of our dogs when I'm busy and can't really handle it, to emotional support when I'm stressed out about something with business, and him, coaching and supporting me, saying, hey, you got this. Don't worry about it. Like, let's do something fun real quick, and then you'll feel better and get back to it. So huge shout out to my husband, Ben, and that's something that I'm incredibly grateful for. Chris says that he's incredibly grateful for a productive, prosperous life. That is definitely something to be thankful for. We got Zishan saying hi from Bangladesh. Hiya, how's it going? Appreciate you joining in again. Gidley, what's good? Or Gideon. We got Steven. We got someone here from London. You guys are all amazing. All right, so let's get this presentation started. I'm going to do a screen share with you guys here. And again, we're going to talk about personal branding. If you have any questions related to personal branding, please just post a comment, and I will make sure that I get to it. All right, so the importance of brand. So I said personal branding, but we're actually going to talk about brand marketing. So personal branding is one type of brand marketing. The other type really would be business branding. So it's really just two types of brand marketing. Brands can center around businesses. They can center around people. So it's probably going to be one of those two things. All right, so why do people even buy from you? This is a really great question for every single business and person to ask themselves, because it's different from a business level. Why do people buy from the business? And why do people buy from you, the individual? And it's really important to be aware of both things. Most of the time, you want both of those things to align. So, for example, if people are buying from your brand because they think it's really smart and clever and reliable, you want to make sure that you are also coming off smart, clever, and reliable, and not trying to sell through a personal brand of, let's say, silly or goofy or other types of, let's say, characters or adjectives that would not really align with your business's brand. So what is the value that you as the individual or you as the business provide to your customer? This is a great thing to ask, because I can almost promise you it is not a practical answer. People do not buy let's say, a cup because they need to drink water, for example. You might think, well, that doesn't make any sense. Of course, people buy a cup because they need to drink water. Yes, they bought the product, the category, the cup, because they need to drink water, but they didn't buy that cup. They didn't buy your cup because they wanted to drink water. They bought your cup, that cup, for one of many, many different reasons, mostly centered around an emotional value that you provided them. So either they liked the design. Seeing the design every morning makes the customer happy, right? So that's one type of brand value, is the product makes me happy. It can also be, again, service-based, where maybe I really like the person who sold it to me. Maybe I didn't care about which cup design. I just wanted to buy the one that the person selling it to me was excited about. because it's hard for me as a human being to get excited. I'm not saying this, but for some people, it's very hard for them to get excited on their own. They don't have that practice to amp themselves up, to hype themselves up, to be like, ooh, I can't wait till I'm gonna get that Avengers coffee cup. I am so excited. Instead, some people, actually a very large number of people, live their life at a very, I'd say, blah, boring, emotional baseline of, I feel fine. No, nothing's really bothering me, but I'm not too thrilled about anything either. And so you as a salesperson, as a business, as a brand, as a human being, always have the ability to deliver value through enthusiasm, energy, positivity, and good feelings. These are things that all human beings want all the time. And if you can start to deliver that in terms of value, it makes your business, one, so much more valuable, so much more likable and relatable, much more successful, but also it makes it so much easier to run your business. It makes it less stressful, makes it more fun. There's so many great things that come out of providing emotional value to your customers through your business. All right, so what is the problem with selling? So the problem with you actively selling to your customer is that you can only truly communicate one thing at a time. And if you're communicating to your customer that you want them to purchase the product, you're not delivering that emotional value. Now, is there a way that you can sell with some emotional value put into it? Yes. Is that going to be as valuable to the customer as you going 100% in on the value portion, the emotional value portion? No, of course not. People don't like to be sold to. This is just a fact. Even when I want to purchase something, like when I go into a store, let's say Best Buy, I'm going into Best Buy because I want to buy a drone. Like I'm super stoked. I know exactly what I want. I've done all the research online. I know that I want to buy that particular model. I don't need to be sold in any way. I'm going to be pretty annoyed, honestly, if a sales clerk or someone, a store associate, comes up to me and says, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" It's like, no, I don't need help finding anything. And then if they start to tell me that, well, that's not where I'd get upset. I'd be like, oh, they're being very helpful. That's my initial thought. But then if they take me over to the drones, I'm looking for a drone, and they take me over and they go, "Do you need any help, deciding which one?" And I said, "No, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with this one." And then they started to say, "Okay, well, that one's really great because of this, 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 and this." And they tried to sell me on it. Or even worse, if they said, "That one's great, you'll like this one even better," and they tried to sell me on a different one, I would be really annoyed because I know what I want. I don't need to be sold. I don't need to be told anything. Now, what would add value? So how could that customer service associate or that salesperson add value to me, to the customer, to the sale? Well, they could hype me up. Again, they could get me really excited. They could go, "Oh man, my buddy got that one and he's loving it right now. I'm super excited for you. That's a great choice." That's very different than saying, "Ooh, that's a good choice because it has this feature and this feature and this feature." That's trying to sell more based on product features. I don't need to be sold based on product features. I've already picked out the product based on my online research. What I need is more excitement, more enthusiasm. You literally can never have enough positive energy, or not enough. You can never have too much positive energy. And I think obviously there's a feeling you get when you have a lot of positive energy where you need to balance that out with some calm. But positive energy is what created this entire world that we live in. All the good things came out of someone's positive energy to apply and make the world a better place. All right, so what I like to talk about and what I like to push people towards is emotion-centered marketing. Again, this means really focusing on how are you making people feel when you communicate? Do you make them feel empowered? Do you make them feel excited? Do you make them feel guilty? Do you make them feel scared? I would say that, in the past, let's say 60 to 100 years of business, there's been a lot of scare tactic type advertising, type marketing, a lot of guilt, shame-related type marketing. If you think, back to 20, 30 years ago when the fitness fitness was one of the biggest advertising industries for television, right? There were so many fitness products coming out, like, the belly bands and the like, this will make you have abs in 10 minutes type deal. And the reason that sold so well is because they did tap into people's emotions, right? It was emotion-centered marketing. It was like, don't you feel guilty? Aren't you guys ashamed of your bodies? And then here's the solution to make you feel better. So it works really well, but it does a lot of bad, and it detriments our society. I think, directly from that heavy period of TV advertising coupled with magazine advertising and kind of the way that women and men are portrayed in magazines, I think there was a huge amount of negative emotions and the inability to deal with them that was put into our youth, especially, right, little girls, little boys growing up, seeing all these advertisements, seeing all these magazines and thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me. Oh, I'm not good enough, because literally that's the message that these companies are sending to their advertisers. Luckily, I think we're in a much, much more conscious world today where people are very, very aware of, the negative impacts of advertising. And there's much more of a conscious effort being made to advertise in a way that's positive and that's good and that's beneficial for people. So always remember and be conscious and aware, what is the emotion that you're tapping into with your marketing? And is that really the best emotion that you could be choosing to deliver your message? So for example, if you create an advertising campaign and you think it's really good, but let's say the emotion that it triggers in people is a negative emotion, see if you can be creative and come up with almost the exact same campaign idea, but centered or delivered in a way that promotes positivity and gets people's positive emotions up into them. All right, we got a quick question that I'd love to address. What is the best time to post anything on a platform? So I've got two different opinions on this. The first one is anytime you think of a good idea, that's when you should post it. And the reason I say that is because if people are getting good ideas but are waiting and then forgetting to post them, I think that's really, really bad. I think that's a terrible habit to not be putting out like literally your best ideas. So what I mean is some people, they'll have a good idea. They're like, oh, I've got this awesome, great idea, but I know the best time to post is on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So I'm going to wait until then. And then one of two things happens. One, they remember and they post about it on Wednesday at 7 p.m., but they have a lessened amount of enthusiasm, or they're not quite as tied to that original thought as they had been. And so it doesn't come out as powerful. Two is they forget. I do this sometimes. I'll have a great idea. I'll be like, oh, this would make such a good post. And then like stuff in your life happens and you totally forget about it. And so I think if you have a really great idea, share it right away. That way you make sure it gets out there and that people have the chance at least to engage with it and see it and for it to make an impact. All right, guys. You guys are all fantastic. First of all, thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions. And let's go on to the next slide. All right, so as we just talked about, use emotion-focused language and content to allow your customers to connect more deeply with your brand. So what I mean with this slide is really that every brand, in my opinion, should share things outside of their products and their services. I think a really important part of brand is personality. Now, you might think, okay, only people have personalities. Well, people interact with your brand as if it were a real human being. And so you have to create and treat your brand like it is a real human being by giving it all of the emotions, all of the complexities, and all of the characteristics that a real person would have. So, for example, this might sound silly, but think about this. I think this would be really helpful to some of you guys. What is your brand's favorite food? I'm talking about whatever your brand is. Come up with a list of questions that you would ask a person to find out their personality, and do that for your brand and literally write those things down. Like, for example, with my business, Mayan Gordon Media, I am a service-based business. Yes, we have some digital products, but mostly it's service-based coaching, consultation, social media account management. So what would my businesses and my brand's favorite food be? I would have to say probably, and I'd have to take time to think about this to really come up with that's my answer. But initially, just to give you guys an example, it would be something healthy. It would be something delicious, and it would possibly either be a dessert or I would say something lighthearted. So desserts are very sweet. Sweet is kind of a light emotion versus like a steak. You know, steak is much more kind of, it's more earthy. It's more kind of in the grind, I would say. And again, these are just ways people perceive and connect with things. So think about, what are foods that I connect with? Why do I connect with those foods? And what brand or what foods does my brand like? Again, this might seem like a really obscure exercise, but it's very, very beneficial to help you start to think about your brand as a personality and as an identity that people connect with. And here's the thing. If people thought about your brand as a person and they realized that your brand's favorite food was the same as their favorite food, they would have a much tighter, deeper connection to your brand. So in essence, what I'm saying is come up with all of the touch points, all of the different personality points, all of the different areas in which another human being could connect with you as a real person, and then try and recreate that for your brand. More examples to give you guys ideas. So we all have favorite games, right? I have favorite games like board games, video games, card games, sport games, like actual physical sport activities. So if I can create that same feeling of when I find out someone else likes basketball and I go, oh, that's awesome because I like basketball. If I can recreate that same thing with my brand so that when I post about basketball or about whatever it is that I'm trying to post about, people go, oh, that's awesome that this brand supports, likes, engages with, connects with this thing because I do too. And that's a super powerful thing to get people to support you and build a customer base outside of, does this person need my product? Because guess what? Today, no, they don't. No one needs your product. They could go buy it from someone else. They could go find a similar product. There are so many options, you guys, that no one has to buy anything from you. So you better do a good job at making people happy, at making people want to buy things from you, because they certainly do not have to. All right, so here are some of the best emotions to tap into for personal branding, digital marketing, business branding in general. So sense of purpose or importance. Guess what? We all are here and we are wondering why. Like, we are so smart that our brain is self-aware to the point that we're not really sure why we're here. Why do we exist as human beings in general? And then why do I as an individual exist amongst 8 other billion people right now? And, many other billion, well, not that many, because most of the people in the world have existed now, but, like probably 10 billion plus people that have ever existed. Why me? And giving people that sense of importance that, hey, you're here to be a part of my team, to be a part of my brand, and we're on this mission to do good. That's a powerful thing. So sense of importance or purpose. Another is safety and security. So a lot of people are in either stressed out environments or environments they don't feel 100% safe in. And when people feel unsafe, they are almost always looking for that security feeling. And building that with your brand is something that can be done through, I would say, the main vein of building trust in general, which can be done by putting out information that other people can easily verify. So again, putting out facts, putting out advice that other people can then go and verify. One second, you guys. Kronos, hey, Kronos, stop chewing on your foot. You're being a naughty puppy. Excuse me, my French bulldog has some naughty habits. I had to. You want to show everyone how cute you are? All right, we're gonna do a little Frenchy appearance here. Here we go. We got Crow here. We're gonna do a stop screen share because he's just too cute. Oh, that was the last one anyways. All right, cool. Let's see. All right, Crow. Show them how cute you are. This is my buddy Kronos. He's my French bulldog. I have 4 dogs. Rocco, look at the camera. And great example right here of some personal branding. I'm talking about business stuff, but part of my personal brand is dogs. I love dogs. I've always loved dogs. I think there's a lot that comes with personal branding around dogs, which is that people inherently think that you're kind, that you're responsible, and that you're loving, because you kind of, why else would you have a dog other than to love the crap out of it? And so also, and again, there's a significant amount of sacrifice you have to make when you have a dog in terms of the responsibility from, coming home at night and not staying out all night. Especially when you're young, you guys, I'm only 28, and certainly I've given up a lot of nights of crazy partying and drinking so that I can have wonderful little pooches to take care of and bring me all sorts of positive energy. So again, who am I? I'm someone who loves dogs. I love people. I love nature and outdoors, and those are all things that I incorporate into my personal and business brand. All right, same bye guys. So if you ever see the table shaking, it's usually that guy running all around. He does his morning routine of table rubs. All right, we got a couple questions here. Wonderful. Michael, thank you so much for watching, says, how do you compete with all the dopamine-fueled content that preys on the reptile brain and still provide positive value? So this brings up a really interesting concept, I think, which is the morality of marketing. And this is something that people really have not talked a lot about, I think, openly yet. People have started to talk more about it. There's definitely conversation about it. I haven't seen a lot of leaders talking about it. I think that's because there's certainly a fear of making judgments. So I am not here to, before I give any of my opinions, I'm not here to judge anyone else who is using any type of marketing tactics outside of literally lying to your customers. I'm definitely not cool with that, or any other type of really shady business practices. What Michael's talking about is what a lot of people would refer to as trickery, but is really just smart marketing when done ethically. So what do I mean? What I mean is that you are controlled as a human being by 90% of your brain, which is subconscious. So yes, we're aware of many decisions that we're making, but we're very unaware, 100% unaware of many, many more decisions that we're not aware we're making, but we absolutely are. So that can come from us clicking on something to us purchasing something. Sometimes we are really unaware as to why we purchased something or why we clicked something. And when we are unaware as to why we are doing things, that's when we're not in control really anymore. Yes, we're making decisions, but it's kind of the same way how you can drive all the way home and then realize you were thinking of stuff in your head the entire time and didn't actually see the road. Now, this is a really good example because you know that you saw the road. You literally couldn't have gotten home if your eyes weren't working, if you saw nothing. But the fact that your brain didn't process the images in your conscious thinking part of your brain, and it instead processed those images in the subconscious part of your brain, which had now been trained enough. Kronos, put that. Okay, you're chewing on your bone. Good boy. I can't tell sometimes he's chewing on his bone or his foot. So that you're making many, many decisions and you're interpreting data. A lot of the things you're seeing, you're interpreting and making decisions about in your brain, but you're not aware or conscious of it till either very later on, when you get home and go, oh, that was bad. I definitely should have paid more attention because I don't remember getting home. I know I'm here now. I know I drove safe and didn't crash, but boy, do I not remember it. To the point where you really want to, I would say, help your customers as much as possible. In terms of ethical marketing, I think if your intentions are good, that's the first place to start. So if you're aware of something and you know that it's not going to be beneficial to your customers, I would say that's not really truly ethical, right? If you're aware and you make the decision anyways to do something negative for your customers to benefit yourself, That's not the person that I want to be. I don't want to get my happiness by taking it from others. I truly believe in the abundance of the world and the universe. I mean, like, just look, even days like to this where it's 75 degrees out, like beautiful, fresh air, literally everything about today is designed to make me feel good. Like, that's impossible. How is life so good, you guys? The sun's out, the air is fresh, I get to eat tasty food. You guys, what if food tasted like crap? Like, food could just taste like utter garbage. Or like, what if we lived on Mars and we never had sunshine? There was just no sunshine. It was like horrible thunderstorms and acid rain all the time. Like, life could be way miserable, and it's not. It's incredibly beautiful. And so if I don't have to go to the dark side, as my Star Wars fans would say, I'm not going to. I'm already on the good side. I'm already in my happy place. I don't want to go back to a place where I have to use any amount of negativity as a tactic or as a way to get what I want, when I can actually use the things I believe in to get what I want. And this is what everyone should realize. This is not just true for me. This is true of everyone. The things you believe in, your core values, your personal brand, is the exact way to get everything you've ever wanted in your life, period. You do not have to be someone else. You are the exact perfect person to get exactly what you want. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to work on things and improve at the person that you are. Improving and changing are two very different things. And who you are right now is the perfect person that you need to be to get everything that you've ever wanted in your life. Now, figuring out how to do that's different, right? That's like saying, here's an incredibly complex CNC machine. It can cut and build anything you want. It's like, cool, I don't know how to use it though. That doesn't help me. It doesn't help you to have the most powerful computer in the entire universe if you don't know how to run any programs on it, if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to tap into it. So all of that to say, I guess that was a really long-winded way to answer your question. I think that if you feel your marketing is providing dopamine or happiness in a way that's beneficial to your customer, do it. If you're doing it in a way where it makes them feel happy, but actually is not good for them. So what I mean is it makes them happy to then take an action that benefits you, but is bad for them. For example, I always come into qualms in my head. This is like a big, I would say, theological debate I'm having with myself and always kind of trying to work on is the whole concept of the fast food industry. So it provides convenience in some format, but they also, the way they purchase and the way their ingredients and everything runs in fast food is to make them the most amount of money while providing you the least amount of nutritional value. Now, in the past couple years, in the past 5 years, Burger King especially, and McDonald's, and then lots of other companies have made a big push to source better, healthier ingredients. Now, and add other healthy options. Now, I think that's a really great step for them. In terms of promoting, though, and marketing their business, you know, them choosing to show off a salad and a runner, I think is an incredibly ethical choice. Instead of them showing people eating burgers in whatever capacity, excuse me, my nose is a little clogged today, that indicates, hey, this food's just gonna make you happy. Like, yes, all food makes people happy. This is not news to anyone, but it will still affect me in a subliminal reptilian way if you show me a donut and go, ooh, do you like this donut? Bow, chicka, bow, bow. Right? Like, music taps into our emotions. Visuals tap into our emotions. There are things that tap into our brain that we just cannot help. Now, we can help looking at it or not looking at it. We can help being aware of it and making decisions afterwards. But in terms of marketing, I think, you know, are you providing value? That's it. Are you providing value? Or are you just trying to trick your customers? Those are the two veins. Now, there's obviously tons of gray area in between. I think tricking your customers is never a good idea unless it's something they already wanted. So it's not a trick if you go, I want ice cream, and then I go, here's the best ice cream ever. Don't you want it? It's like, yeah, you just told me you wanted ice cream. Here's your freaking ice cream. Tricking is someone going, and again, these are nuances. I'm not judging anyone. These are my personal opinions. To me, trickery would be someone going, I'm really hungry right now. And me going, you're hungry for ice cream. No, they're not. They're hungry most likely not for ice cream. And ice cream's not going to be the filling thing that makes them feel good or better. It is the thing that makes my business because I sell ice cream. So then it brings up the question, okay, well, if you want to be, let's say you want to be on the far, far end of like the ethical side of, I don't ever want to promote something that wouldn't be good for my customers, but I sell something that's not really good for them, let's say healthy or benefits them in a obvious way. So then it becomes getting creative and clever with, again, with that communication style and really thinking about the depth of layers of value. So ice cream provides many depths of layers of value, from yum, it tastes good, just taste, to, let's say, cold sensation and cooling satisfaction, to a type of filling feeling. So like ice cream makes you feel full in a particular way that I'm sure some people, they love that feeling. Down to a reward, like it makes me feel rewarded that I get a treat. Down to maybe I had like a personal experience with ice cream, or I tie ice cream to some type of childhood memory that really brings me value and makes me very happy. And so, or maybe down to the level of I like to make ice cream, right? And so that provides me a whole different level of value. So figuring out what is the value that out of the many, many values my product delivers or provides, what's the one I want to emphasize and focus on in my marketing? And oftentimes it's the one that's the least obvious that is actually going to be the most beneficial for your business. And that's because no one else is doing it. Things that are saturated tend to have a feel of more trickery, because it's like, why are you telling me the same thing as everyone else? It can't possibly be true that you all have the world's best ice cream. Someone's lying to me and trying to trick me into buying their ice cream. Now, if a different ice cream company went, we have the healthiest, coldest, lasting, or we have ice cream that, never melts or like takes the longest to melt, I'd be like, whoa, that's really interesting, because I hate when my ice cream gets melty. I know you're all probably thinking the opposite of like, I love when my ice cream gets melty. But right, the world's so big. Let's say there's 100 million people, I'm probably underestimating, in the world who like ice cream, and they don't like when it starts to like get soggy and melty. They want their ice cream like the crisp, fresh ice cream that it is out of the container every time. So if you started marketing your company, your ice cream business, like our ice cream stays the coldest, you don't ever have to, and then talking about benefits around that, like you don't have to worry about eating it right away. You can get our ice cream and save it for like that exact moment when it means the most to you. Like those are all really big value points to customers. Now, it might not be the customer base you already have, but here's the thing, you guys. The customer base you have right now is guaranteed smaller than the customer base you could get, possibly if you marketed in a different way. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, unless you have literally 4 billion people as your customers, there's more people out there who are not your customers. And so your concept of what they want is going to be very, very limited and probably incorrect, because you're getting feedback based on an incredibly small sample size. And that sample size might not be your ideal customer base. This is something really, really important to understand when you're first starting out and building your business, is that you have to be incredibly adaptive and responsive to your customers' feedback. Again, the reason for this is you do not know your customers well enough yet to be making decisions for them, to be making decisions about how they like to be talked to, about what they feel. You really have to spend, I would say, probably a good number of years really talking to customers on a day-to-day basis before you have a great grasp on how to positively affect them. So I think brands should make a real commitment. I think every business, every brand should make a real commitment to, we are going to talk to this many customers every single week so that we can educate ourselves, get better, and always be improving based on our customer feedback. All right. We are getting into it. So I pretty much finished that slide or that presentation on personal branding. If you guys have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to me. Sometimes it does not show me all of the comments as I'm watching on LinkedIn Live or YouTube or Facebook. So if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and you had a question that you commented and I didn't get to answer it, please reach out and send me a message. I would love to either answer it directly via messages or I'll bring it up in the next session. This is a good question. David asks, if you're trying to come up with a company name, how would you go about it? That's a really great question. So I think that there's two veins or two routes to go through. One is completely abstract. The other is have the name related to something or mean something. So if you're going to go completely abstract, I think that's a great way to go because people are always, again, we're interested. Well, I've never heard of that before. That's an interesting sounding name. Like words are meaningful to us. So picking the right word or the right name can sometimes have a really, really big benefit. So when I'm going to pick a random name, I really think about, is it easy to remember? And does it have characteristics to the word or the sound that are going to make it stick in my brain? So I haven't done too much research specifically into this field, but from my 10 years of business and in marketing, I found that hard consonants are easier to remember and make a better impression. Specifically, I would say K's, so like Coco, I think, with K-O-K-O, that's like a great brand name. Or Z's also are good because visually, so a Z is not a great sound, but visually, you almost cannot forget looking at a Z because we see so few of them that it's just like, I remember when I see the letter Z. So the letter Z I think is great, like Kaza, K-A-Z-A. That's like a great name. Doesn't mean anything. I'm sure someone already has it. I would say, T is another hard consonant that's great. That's why Tazo, boom, right? Like they came up with a great abstract name, has T-Z, and it's short, easy to remember, Tazo, T. So I think short's really good. I think if you're going with something more like related to something, like I chose Mayan Gordon Media. That's a much longer name. I chose that because I wanted people to remember my name. So if there's a particular aspect of your company you want to stand out, you can center the name around that. So for example, let's say you're a home cleaning business. So you have like a fleet of, maid is not the right word, but cleaners for people's houses, people who clean houses. And you're trying to come up with a name for that. So again, you could go either abstract and go, something like Zabo, right? Something really random. Or you could go something related either to cleaning, which would be the name, or again, it could be an aspect of your company. So like, let's say meticulous was the word, which is not a word I would pick. It's a very long word. Again, shorter words are better when it comes to names. But let's say meticulous was the word that I wanted people to just like remember about our company. But let me pick a better one. That's just a bad one. Let me, let's see. It's like a good word. Yeah, my husband, he said marvelous. I like to come up with my own, fine, I'll use this word. Okay, so marvelous. So you want every time someone thinks of your brand, thinks of your company, thinks of your cleaning company to think, oh, that's a marvelous company. Name your something based off that word. Either have literally marvelous cleaning, like have that be your business name, or turn the word marvelous into an abstract word. So marveloso or marvula or Marvolo. Like these are all things when I hear the word, I'm going to subconsciously think similar to, I'm going to think marvelous, because what our brain does, this is another interesting concept and phenomenon. When you say something that I don't know what that word is, my brain is going to pick the closest approximation. So we do this when we listen to other people speak different languages, right? When you listen as an American to someone speaking Italian or Spanish, you hear some words that are similar and you match them to the word that you know that is closest. You think, oh, I think that means this because it sounded like this. You can do that with your brand or your business name. You can go, I'm going to name it something similar to what I want people to think when they say my business or brand name. So I think that I'm trying to think of like industries where they do that pretty successfully. I think that the home security business, there's definitely a couple companies that have a security name that is a twist of like the word security, or a twist on a word that like is a synonym of secure or safe. Same thing with drug companies. So this is probably the better example. Drug companies will very, very often pick a name for their drug that is similar to something they want you to think about when they're thinking about the product brand. So allergy, medications. Allegra kind of sounds like allergy relief, or like allergies go away. Like in my head, when I hear Allegra, I think allergies gone or allergies go away, because the word kind of sounds like that. So that's another unique way to pick a product or a brand or a business name. All right, I'm going to back out of these to see if it'll refresh my comments real quick, see if there's any last minute comments or questions. If you guys do have any, now is the time to post them. All right, I did load a couple more comments here. You guys are amazing. Andrea, thank you so much. I am also very grateful to have you in my network. Michael, that's amazing. Just being able to come home to your family is something so incredibly amazing to be grateful. There's so many people out there, you guys. I don't just mean in terms of like made it through the day. There's many, many people who have to work away from their families to provide for them, where the only job they could get that would pay well enough is in a completely different city, or let's say it's a 4-hour drive away, so they have to spend a lot of their nights away from their family. So I think that's something incredible to be grateful for. And then also, I want to give a personal huge shout out to anyone who is doing that and making a sacrifice for the greater good of their family. I think there's not much more honorable than that. I think sacrifice is one of the amazing, amazing gifts that as human beings we've been given. I don't think that there are many other animals that have the ability to sacrifice something for gaining something later or for a greater good. And whenever anyone in the human race exhibits and demonstrates that, I think it really perpetuates more of us to do it. So thank you for anyone out there making a sacrifice for the greater good, whether that's for your family, whether that's for our society during this pandemic, just for humanity in general on a larger scale. We might have just had a couple technical issues, so I appreciate you guys hanging with me. If there was any glitching, you know how it goes. All right, guys, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and attention today. If you got any value out of this, it would mean so much to me if you would share this post. Sharing is the thing that means the most to me. If you want to comment and like it, that means a lot too. But sharing is how we get the word out there, how we spread more positivity, and how we get more people informed about these things that are going to make a difference in people's lives. The only way that you sharing helps me is to get me more brand recognition. I'm not trying to sell anything. I really am trying to provide value so that other people can have happier lives, more productive lives, which then in turn makes my life better. It's not a lot of fun when you go on vacation by yourself. It's way more fun when all your friends get to come with you, when everyone you're interacting with is in a good mood because they're happy and having a great life. That's a way better way to live than when you're the only happy person walking around and everyone else feels like crap. So that's not the life I'm trying to live. That's not the world I'm trying to build. The world I'm trying to build is one full of positive, happy people that all support and care about each other. And if you're someone who believes in that too, then go ahead and share this, and it would definitely help us all out. You guys have an amazing day. We'll be back tonight live at 5.